British Strongman Podcast. So today we're going to talk about our new venture, which is the YouTube channel that we've made that we've been wanting to do for ages. Which you've got your own, haven't you, Shane? The MST one, with some good videos on there. But I wanted one that basically, because we use the podcast as a resource, don't we? Like, people will message us stuff, like people who aren't clients, for instance, and instead of like taking up time replying, we'll just send them to a free resource, which is great for us because it saves time. Whereas, like we've said before, there's quite a lot of people who get a lot of value from listening to us, but there's some people like myself, for instance, who I do better if I can see visuals and study visuals. So so we thought it'd be a good idea to get some videos. So we paid to get some recordings at the seminar coaching session that we did on the 1st of May, and the videos have come out, and we've got like about 20 videos worth of content with some brilliant stuff in there that there's some great stuff that, because obviously I was talking working with a couple of people to the side. Shane was doing say some stuff that I didn't even hear him say, and then I've watched back on the video and it's great stuff. So I've started drip feeding it into the YouTube channel. So to find us on YouTube, so please, if you're listening to this, please go into YouTube, search for British Strongman Coaching, and then and like the page, subscribe to the page, and then please share on social media channels. Because
and also,
at the end,
we've got on the 28th, is that what it is, on Saturday? We've got our next group of guys in. I don't know if there's any girls there, guys and girls come in, so we'll be able to get some more footage, and then we're going to be doing that monthly, aren't we, Josh? If you want to come down and obviously get the coaching, make sure you get in touch with Josh, because it's looking like it's going to be a pretty decent group of people that we might get back consistently, so spots might be a little hard to get. So get in touch with Josh and get booked on. Even if you can't make this Saturday, book the one for June, because you'll get so much value out of it. But if not, just subscribe to the YouTube and you'll be able to get some little kind of nuggets that we post on there. But obviously you're going to experience everything if you actually come down, whereas on the YouTube you're just going to get little free gems and nuggets here and there.
Yeah. And to be clear, the motive for us, like, we're at the end of the day, we're both. You put a bit of a rant on Instagram yesterday, didn't you? And I thought it was good.
Yeah, I deleted it. So sometimes when you do stuff and you're like 20 minutes later, you're like, wow, why did I say that?
Yeah, but I thought it was good in terms of the message that you got across when you actually said, look, you don't need to be doing more work, but it's just what you're addicted to doing. Like, you're always going to be, and we're both the same on this. Like, we're never going to settle. We're always wanting to, right, how can we do more? How can we be more effective? How can we get to more people? This thing frustrates me. So how can I fix it? How can I stop the frustration happening for other people? Why? And I think that's like branching out to the YouTube thing and this group coaching thing. I think it's absolutely brilliant, because like it's so good being able to help, having the facility to help so many people for free. Like this podcast, for instance, like, what did we hit the other day? 10,000 downloads or something. 10,000 downloads. I don't understand it. I don't understand the analytics or whatever, but
sounds a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's for us, it makes it worth doing, doesn't it? If you think about it, really. I know there's a bit of fucking about uploading it afterwards and stuff like that I do and sharing it on Instagram, but really, like, what have we done? 60 episodes. So 60 odd episodes, averaging maybe an hour-ish, 60 hours work, of which, to be honest, we've learned so much from each other, from guests and stuff like that. It's great to just talk about stuff and reflect on what's going on at the minute and stuff like, but we've been able to help so many people. Like, how many people have that message you or tag you on social media? They don't even know. And we're like, oh, I've been applying this thing that you've said. Thanks so much. Like,
yeah, like you said with the group thing, the intention isn't anything really more than helping guys out that want to get one-to-one and stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not some grand money-making scheme for us.
No. Well, that's
it's obviously like I said, last week I really enjoyed it, and all the guys were like you say, quite shocked and blown away about the things they learned in such a short it's only 4 hours, isn't it, really? But to be able to take away loads of information for 50 quid, that's not going to happen in a one-to-one, is it? So I think the group environment's actually better anyway.
Yeah, definitely, because, and this is what I've said to people who've tried to book in like one-to-one in the last week or two. Like, I've said, look, this is just going to be so much better value, like, for what you're paying for that, and the time that you'd have with, like, say, me or you. Like, if someone travels a long distance to book an hour session with you or me or whatever, or an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they're wanting to go heavy on a couple of events, like, a lot of that time spent resting, in it. Whereas if they've got like a big 4 hour session, and while so-and-so's resting in between his set of his log, we're jumping over, helping, looking at somebody else's yoke and say, look, I'm not fucking talking to you while you're warming up. I'm going to go and help these guys. Get up to your working weight, and then we'll see what's going on. Like, it's just such a more efficient way of like coaching and helping people, isn't it? And getting and also as well for you, for me and you, I think I kind of like online, say, programming coaching model or whatever. There's quite a lot of people who fit in that mold of, you know what, it'd be fucking good if we could, like, they live so far away, but it'd be brilliant if we could just see them like once a month, once every 6 weeks, just to this thing that I've been cueing them in the program. And we've tried it. They showed me a video from a couple of different angles, and we've tried a couple of different tweaks. Like, just seeing someone in person and just be able to just do it is just invaluable, isn't it? But
yeah, and the other side of it, there's guys out there that are quite comfortable programming themselves, that don't want to pay a coach, but they do want a little bit of a, eye-in on some of the moving events, so that they can take that information and apply it themselves. So it fits really well for them, because currently I didn't have something available for people like that. All I had was, well, I can coach you, or I guess I could look at a video for free if I wanted to. But now there's an actual something that they can come down face to face, take information away, and then go and apply it themselves. So I think it fits a lot of groups. It's good.
Yeah, and another thing that fits well is people who have other people who have coaches as well. Like, there's so many people out there who, like, say message me, for instance, and they're buzzing with their coach, and they don't want to leave the coach or anything like that. But they're just like, say, maybe I've like, say, one lift that we have might have a more, maybe a different approach in improving that lift, where they're welcome to come, rinse us for the technical feedback, and then go and apply it within their program with their other coach.
Or if we're just closer and the coaches, they're up north, coaches down south, and it's easier to get to us. It's we ain't the type of people that'll be trying to snag clients or something, are we? So
no, definitely not.
Pretty content to let you learn some bits, and then crack on with your coach.
Yeah.
All right, so we get into this yoke before we chat about that for 10 hours.
Yeah, go on then. So we'll just talk a couple of points that I suppose we talked about at the seminar with the yoke. So actually, I released this. I put this video up to YouTube. I didn't share it to my IGTV yesterday. So it's actually Shane talking for 3 or 4 minutes, and he's breaking down yoke, and you can see Dean's footwork improve as a result. Because actually, I remember Dean saying, he was saying that when he gets to 300-ish yoke, he goes all shaky and he goes all wobbly. And he said, do I need something like, I need to improve my core. I need to improve my core strength, don't I? I need to improve and this is what a lot of people think. They think that they need to, or they're wobbling because they need to improve that kind of core stability, or they need to do some planks or whatever. Whereas actually, you improved his stride mechanics and footwork. So therefore, he was instantly a lot more stable, regardless of the weight. So do you want to say what you say what you the general gist of what you did and what you see with a lot of people?
Well, it was we've been doing yoke for speed at slightly lighter weights, but he'd got into a habit of doing to increase his speed. He was increasing his stride length, and when he was doing 190 or whatever it was, but roughly probably like you said up to 300, he was probably okay, because it wasn't like he had a drastic increase in stride length. It was quite hard to notice. It was probably an extra 3 inches on his step. But obviously, when he got to that weight, he was loading his front leg. You need to keep your legs kind of evenly loaded, don't you? And you don't want to stride so far that you put 60-70% of the force through that front leg, because it's going to cause loads of instability, and it's also going to make the reason why I like it the best, this cue, is because I think it really changes the recovery aspect of yoke. Like if you're yoking with this long stride, you're kind of loading that ankle, knee, hip on the left side loads. Then you go into the right side, and it'll just batter your lower body and your hips and stuff. So not only is it making him unstable, but it was making him, like I noticed in his training, he was saying like, oh, I'm struggling to, do this, and this on Monday after yoke on Friday, Saturday, whenever he did it. So I was like, well, we'll take a look at your yoke when you come down. And straight away in person, I noticed the stride length difference. It's kind of hard on video because he's outside at night, so you can't, and you can't really tell. But as soon as in person, I was like, right, let's just shorten this stride at the lighter weights. And when you want to go faster, you need to step faster instead of thinking about stepping further. So we just brought his stride length into heel to toe area.
So wait there. That's a golden one that you just said. So step faster, not further. Nice. I like that.
Yeah, and you want to look like Roadrunner, really, don't you? Just going really fast. And then your stride length will be the same at 190, at 220, at 250, at 300, at 330, whatever. Your stride length will be the same. And as soon as he changed that, I actually made him go a little slower to get used to it. I was like, just slow it down like 2%. Like, stop trying to get there like a bullet and accelerate as you go. Instead of starting off, because when you're obviously confident with it, you can do that. But when I'd literally just changed. I wanted him to take a few 5-meter steps, and then once he'd kind of felt it, accelerate. And we applied that all the way up to 300. And I can't remember whether he did 300 for 20 meters or 320 drop 20.
Yeah, I think he did 40, didn't he? I think he did 40.
I think it was 40, yeah. But he was struggling to even get 20. Like, he was just about making 20, in training. with like 280 area, and then that stride length difference, it made the yoke consistent, because with those bigger strides and getting wobbly every step, and the upper body moving up and down, etc., and loading those knees and hips so much harsher, when you're doing a long distance yoke, it just snowballs to the point where you feel like you're falling, and you're gonna have multiple drops. Whereas when he was stood with striding with the closer stride, he was just consistent. He got to the end, drop turned, and replicated it on the way back. And obviously, 40 meters is a long way with the 300 yoke. He's feeling it, but it's more muscular feeling and obviously cardiovascular, rather than this like battering of your body, if that makes sense. I'm sure everybody's felt it on yoke, where it just feels like it's smashing you, and that's just because of the stride length. You're almost turning it into like a mini lunge if you're taking a big stride, and that's why I think people get the bad recovery from yoke. Because I noticed it, because when I first came back yoking, I only did 5 or 6 weeks in a row, but the first 2 weeks I was striding too long myself, and the next day my hip flexors, my knees, even my calf, like everything was just, and it wasn't like a DOMS feeling, it was more just like I've done strongman, that different feeling. But then the week after, I think it was because I watched your video on stride length, actually, because I was trying to pinpoint what am I doing wrong that I didn't used to do. And then I was like, well, I'll try this stride because I do look quite long. And I changed that. And yeah, for me, straight away, I did a much better yoke session. And then the next day, I felt like I could yoke again. Whereas the previous weeks, I was just hammered. So it's not something that just inexperienced people do. Even if you're experienced like me, but maybe you've taken a bit of time off yoke, it can just be a little bit of a bad habit you get into. So I do encourage you to take a look at your stride length and just check and see, am I going too far? And if I go a little shorter, do I feel more stable and planted into the ground? And do I feel like I'm not, getting hit with the weight as much and recovering better from the sets and the session? You're very good at this short stride length on yoke, I think, because you're very fast but really efficient, and that's what I need to get up to. Because when I got up to the heavier yokes, I lost my foot speed a bit. So this is what I'm going to be trying to work on myself, trying to get a bit more Josh Lanks foot speed.
Yeah. So the thing that I worked on with the guys, which helped a few people, was a general cue that I see thrown around as priority with to be honest, I'm not going to go into it, but on most exercises, like when people are new to a certain exercise, the thing that that a lot of people focus on is bracing before they've even learned optimum positioning. Whereas I was explaining that, say, the yoke's a good example where people focus so much on bracing that sometimes because the bracing, they don't realize that the kind of the brace is like kind of affording them a kind of shit position without them even realizing, if you will. So people are getting so tight under the yoke, and the yoke might be the balance, they might be standing up and the yoke might be pulling them forward ever so slightly, but because they're bracing and pulling on the yoke, like it's not pulling them anywhere. So actually they're just using loads of energy pulling on this yoke to actually just keep it in equilibrium, to keep it balanced, which is just fucking stupid and inefficient and a waste of energy. And I saw there must have been 3 or 4 guys doing it, and I got them to say, right, on the next set, completely relax your arms and don't pull on the yoke, don't make any tension. And then one or two of them said that, oh, well, now I feel like the yoke's pulling me forward. So I said, right, well, if the yoke's pulling you forward or backwards, that's the message, that you need to alter your torso angle to keep the yoke over your center of mass, over the midfoot, say. So instead of pulling on the yoke to make it feel balanced, like couple of the guys actually just changed the torso angle, and they were like, "Oh, this feels a bit fucking weird." And I said, "Yeah, but do you feel like you're being pulled anywhere by the yoke?" And they're like, "No, it just feels like almost weightless." And I said, "Right, well, let's go and move with it then, and don't be pulling on it, don't be bracing, don't be creating tension, don't go tight in the lats, tight core, all that stuff. Just move with it, and just make the weight appropriate so you can do that without bracing." And then they did that, and then I got them to scale up the weight, and then once they'd found that optimum position and the like optimum position on the back, and then the torso angle, the angle of lean or whatever, then I got them to layer it and like add in the tension as they were going along, rather than just generically creating tension before you've actually learned what's the optimum position. And literally, like, everybody who tried it was like noticed a massive difference, didn't they?
I'm a nightmare, me, for I'm never tell people to brace on anything. I'm a bit of a nightmare for that, because I just, in my head, I know this sounds fucking, I mean, obviously with a new lifter who doesn't understand bracing, I would, but most people I coach, I kind of assume like you know how to brace and hold tension. So I never mention it. Like, I'll just get them in the right position.
Yeah.
And then be like, right, off you go, and assume that they're going to brace in that optimal position. But like you say, you don't want to brace so hard that you don't, because once you're that tight, you can't really feel what's going on, can you? You just feel yourself putting the yoke in the position or whatever that you're pulling it into. Whereas if you just stand up with it, like when I yoke as well, I wouldn't even say, people say pull or push the yoke, and I used to do that, but I do pull in a bit, but it's not like that's the overriding cue in my brain. You know what I mean? I'm not pulling in at like 1,000%. I'm just kind of pulling enough to make sure it stays still, and then walking. And I've always been that way. I've never really overly exaggerated any of those cues, because I find if I'm in the right position, like you say, it just kind of feels right, if that makes sense. I can't explain it. It just feels right.
Yeah, and a point that I was making, I was explaining to Mitch, like, he was doing, like, what was he's training for like 400 for 40 meters, is it? And like, how long is that going to take? I'm not sure. What, 30-40 seconds or something?
But you're going to be over the 30-second mark, aren't you, for most?
It's not going to be fast, right? So I actually said to him that if he's trying to brace all the way, like, he's on his way back, he's 30 meters in, he's fucked, but he's still moving. There is no chance on earth that he is still bracing and pulling in that yoke tight. It's literally about survival at that point, and he's just focusing all of his energy into just keeping it moving. And the only way he's keeping moving at that point with that 400 at the 30 meter mark is if that yoke's in a fucking good position. Yeah. So my point is, like, I think a lot of people may actually be better if they find this optimum position from the start, and actually all that energy that they're putting into creating this brace, like, actually just put all that energy into fucking striding out faster. Like,
because you think pulling in as hard as you can on a yoke, after 20 seconds, you're gonna basically
nothing.
Not failure near enough, aren't you? You're not going to be able to pull in anymore. Because these yokes that these guys are doing nowadays over the longer distance, that heavy, like you say, it's a lot of time under tension on the run anyway. You don't want to add more stress by doing this maximum squeeze.
You sit in your fucking computer chair now and pull up on your computer chair for 30 seconds, you'll be fucked. Like it's not as like, especially for long distance stuff, I don't think it's as beneficial as or as important as you as people think.
Yeah, because you were a 15-meter sprinter. You know, you can pull it as hard as you want. It's not going to make a difference, is it? Because it's going to be over in less than 10 seconds. But when you're doing like Mitch as an example, that's a perfect example of, I don't think many people in that comp are going to be doing that yoke in under 25 seconds. So, you know, you're looking at 30, 40, even 50, 60, because a lot of them guys are going to be having the goal of, you know, let's just finish this yoke in the time limit. So you ain't getting 60 seconds of max brace, are you?
No. And then the other thing that we covered was hand position. So hand position on yoke. Should we have it high? Should we have it low? And you know what? I'm not going to say what we said about this, because I'm going to say go and check out the YouTube channel and watch what we said about the hand position on the yoke bit, and whether we should have it high or low. You don't even know, do you? So you're going, might go and fucking check it yourself. Can't remember.
Was it me saying it or you?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I don't know.
Just a bit of clickbait for people. Yeah. So we'll leave it at that, Shane. Anyway, you got anything to add?
No. I think that's fine. I think the only thing I would say as well, just a little bit of advice to some people, some of that I've learned over the years, is, for me, I would say if I'm training for a yoke in a comp, if you have access to, or you can, let's say you've got a couple of strongman gyms in your area or whatever, I really think it's quite beneficial to just now and again change your yoke, and don't get too used to training on just one yoke. Obviously, that's not the best scenario for everyone, because sometimes you just have one yoke and that's all you got. So you got to stick with what you got. But if you do have the opportunity to, I really do think it's quite beneficial to change your yoke now and again, just because you do get yokes that feel harder and yokes that feel easier. And they, to me, anyway, from what I found, there can be like quite a drastic difference. So I do think if you are training for a comp with a yoke in and you don't know what that yoke is, get 1 or 2 sessions in on a different yoke to what you're used to, and just see what you've got to do. Because I think for me that it's just the position can sometimes slightly change, like where the weight is, how it feels through my body, the crossbar thickness and stuff like that can make a little bit of difference to how it feels on your back. And it's just good, in my opinion, on yoke to just get a feel, especially if you've got somewhere with, I think who said it, I thought your yoke was really good, you know, and I was like, I love this yoke, it's class. And Curtis was like, well, you know, this yoke feels really hard compared to the Chaos yoke. And then after a few weeks, he's got used to it again. But it's just another thing where, you know, it doesn't matter how, like Curtis is obviously a good yoker as well, but that first week he was shocked by the yoke. So I do think I would advise you, if you can, to just have a bit of a play on a few different yokes. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And what I would say as well to add to that is, like, if you're training yoke specifically for a comp and you've got a time target, you know, you're doing a 320 for 20 meters, and you know you can hit it in 13 seconds or whatever in your gym. What I would say is prepare either side of that. Prepare for it to be feel a little bit lighter. Prepare for it to feel a little bit heavier. And because, like we've touched on, your mechanics and your technique is going to change depending on, like, say if you're doing a 320 but you go to a comp and it feels like 290, it's fucking completely different. And an example of this, because I suppose we're going into a bit of in-depth with it. When I did the comp at Hull last year, there was a 320 kilo car yoke. So for me at the time, I thought, right, that's quite heavy. What I want to do, I want to make sure the pickup height is the crossbar is quite high. I'm not bothered about that much clearance off the floor because I'm not going to be fast with it anyway. And I just want to make sure that neurologically, that pickup feels easy. So then I can just get into my stride quickly. And then on the day, I picked it up and it felt really light. And I was frustrated because I couldn't step out with my feet. And I was like, this feels lighter than 320. But I couldn't step out with my feet because I'd set the crossbar high on purpose because I was expecting it to feel heavy, if that makes sense. Yeah. And then on the flip side, I competed at the weekend with a car yoke, and it was a 300 kilo car yoke at Rotherham. And for some reason, for me, it felt a lot heavier than, like for me, I'd be aiming for 300 for 20 meters, my gym, comp setting, I'd be aiming for sub 10 seconds, definitely. So I was thinking, even if on a unfamiliar piece of kit or whatever, I'd be thinking like aiming between 10 and 12 seconds at 300. And then at the weekend, I think it was like about 18 seconds or something. And
looked hard to step up as well, that, because I don't know, I saw a few videos like the back tires bouncing on the floor and stuff.
But honestly, mate, it felt stable. It just felt heavy. It just felt heavy. There's no excuse for it. Like, it just felt heavy, and they were
yokes. They just pick them up and go, oh, it's about 320.
Yeah. Yeah, but they were adamant that it was 300 kilos, and like a few other people said, oh yeah, it feels fine or whatever.
Right, okay.
And I still did relatively well in it against like people who knew what kind of standard they are on that, if you will. Like I finished where I would do normally, I reckon.
Yeah.
But the times were just a lot slower for everybody. And the point is that, but to be fair, like that's why in training, when I do my yoke training, I'll do like the weight that I'm supposed to do for a comp, but I'll also do some heavier sets. I'll also do some lighter sets for speed. I'll also do some heavy sloggy sets. I'll also do some sets where I build up to the weight slowly. I'll do some days where, what did I do the other day? I'm sure I did like something like 320 for 30 meters straight in, no warm up. And I did that purposely and I was like, this is going to feel shit. It's going to feel slow. It's going to feel heavier than usual. But you're going to get comps inevitably where you get no warm up. And that was an example on Sunday where I competed and it was cold outside and windy, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, right, come on then, lads. 105's over here. Straight in. The yoke. And like, I thought, brilliant. This is great. I've trained for this. You know what I mean? So I think everybody can benefit from doing that. And a good little protocol for yoke, actually, for people who need to, if you've got access and you want to bring it up, say, for instance, if you're somebody who needs it for a comp and you think, fuck me, I'm fast on farmers, but I'm not quite as good on yoke. I need to fill that deficit. If you're somebody who, I'm getting shin splints when I'm training yoke, I need to build up some conditioning or whatever. So a good little protocol that I use for people to bring in a secondary day of yoke would be doing something like 10 by 10 meters at, say, 50% of your comp weight. Say you're training for a 300 yoke, doing like a 10 by 10, 10 sets of 10 meters with, say, 30, 40 seconds rest. Like you could do that after your deadlift day or your overhead day or whatever, and just plug it in. You could use it as a warm-up or whatever. And you can practice these kind of positioning cues that me and Shane have talked about today, and we talk about on the YouTube thing. And another little disclaimer as well, like little reminder, we always encourage people to go and give it a try, what we're saying, but we're not saying anybody else is wrong or that you should be doing it our way. But I do encourage everybody to find out their own philosophy and find out what works for you. I'm not just sitting on the fence saying, oh yeah, there's no right or wrong. Like, there are so many variables and unique variables that we have to account for like individuality and stuff. So just fucking go and give some of the stuff that we've suggested a try with lighter weights and see if it helps. Like, it'll help a lot of you. But the people that it doesn't help, don't worry about it. Don't say, oh, we're fucking, these two talk shy. Like, get back to us and actually tell us what works for you. Like, maybe things that we haven't covered, and we'll talk about it in the future. All right.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Cheers, mate.
See you Saturday.
Yeah, see you, mate.
Charge up your GoPro.
I have. I've got it right here, actually, over there. Can you see it?
No, can't. It's just a fucking virtual badge.
All right. There
Oh, yeah,
it is.
I can see it now. All right, mate. Right, Sam. See you later.